speak about how technology is coming into all different parts of our everyday lives. But an important topic for the future and for the next generation is how technology and education will work together in the future. Technology, when I was in high school, definitely started to come in. Through a government scheme, we all received laptops to use inside of class that obviously got handed back when we finished high school. And there was also the introduction of interactive whiteboards throughout the classrooms. But now I see an even further inclusion of technology in high schools and even younger in primary schools. My 10-year-old cousin is required to have an iPad in class with her. And I was visiting there not too long ago, and I sort of asked her how she uses it. And she's got it all set up with her work stuff in one folder and sort of her games in the other. And there's certain tasks which the teacher sets in which she has to use certain applications on that iPad to complete the work. A concept that, even though I'm not that old, is quite interesting to me to see the involvement of this iPad in children of such a young age in the classroom setting. There are numerous different technology and applications that are starting to come out, especially for the classroom setting. One of these is something like Google Classroom, where a teacher can log on and see all the work that students have submitted, mark, give feedback, and etc. Something that happens through a lot of university intranets or cloud systems. But they're really implementing this in a younger age group before tertiary studies. It involves an aspects of gamification in there, in instant feedback, in a lot of online work. A factor of this concept that is interesting to me is the fact that students may be submitting work or through the gamification earning points and badges. But whether that, and I don't think it should become the only measure of success in students, especially at a young age growing up. There's many factors that sort of define what your education is, and I don't think it's just the technology ticking of the box or the educational ticking of the box, and rather it should be seen as one of many aspects that a teacher assesses a student on, whether those be social things, not just educational. I think this system isn't a completely new concept, the concept of Google Classroom. I don't think this concept is a completely new one. I think looking at the Google Classroom setup, it is a familiar concept, but I think Google's just going to sort of put their name to something which combines the services like email and Google Docs and the Google Drive, which they already have, but make it very accessible through the Google platforms. I guess one factor that is quite exciting about these concepts of not just Google Classroom, but other sort of online learning environments, is the fact that it could open up regional areas and developing countries in their education. Students in regional Australia, for example, or something like the School of Air, or even in developing countries that different people are trying to get internet access and sort of technologies into developing countries, they could even access the education that we have here in Australia, or they could be logging on a certain country or certain location, whether it be inside of Australia or out, and completing the same work as I do or someone in any other educational purpose. Something else that I think technology could facilitate quite well in education is the idea of personalised learning. I remember many times in my schooling life we filled out these surveys on how do you learn? Are you a creative thinker? Are you an analytical thinker? Are you a visual learner? Do you like reading the stuff before you write it? And all these sort of things, while it was great to understand within yourself, didn't get implemented into the education that we were taught. I think one way technology could really help that is to facilitate the same classroom perhaps learning in different ways or completing different activities. But when it comes down to it, the question is how young is too young? I think I see young children today, and I took my cousins as an example before, they can navigate my smartphone quicker and they just pick things up so quickly. Their parents have iPhones, but picking up my Android phone, they had no trouble whatsoever navigating their way through my phone, where if I use someone else's Apple products, I know where everything is, but it does take me a little bit longer to find it and to use it, where they have no issues whatsoever. And you see toddlers all the time out using their parents' phones or their iPads, and they just naturally know how to navigate these technologies. So the question is, like, how young is too young for them to start using it, and in particular in their education? One factor of this discussion on age is the concept behind the issues in technology within our young students that already exist. things like sexting, things like online bullying, things like concentration levels and engagement, but also things surrounding health and well-being. Are they getting enough time outside? Different facets to the issues that are already present. With us involving technology in younger year levels, there is a consideration of whether these issues will become more prevalent in this engagement with technology and media. These questions that are being raised, there really is no definitive answer, and is unlikely to ever be. It's just something that we'll always sort of have to consider in our involvement of young people in technologies. But when it comes down to it, technology is here and it's here to stay. So when these children are growing up and educating and learning, they're training for jobs that are likely to not have even been created yet. They're training and learning technologies that they're only at the base of their lifetime, and by the time they grow up, there'll be so much media and technology in their worlds that we haven't even thought of yet. In Hendrik Shields' video on entrepreneurship in the classroom, and Adam connected in this week's study notes, he discusses that in the next 100 years, we're going to see more change in our society than we have in the last 300 years. This means that the children of today, and even myself as a young person, are going to see so much change in our lifetime with technologies and surrounding it than the generations before us. While there's so many things to discuss on education and children, what it really comes down to is that the change we're going to see in their lifetime is exceptional. The technology and media that's going to be produced in the coming years is at this point probably unimaginable for our everyday lives. A concept I guess we need to be teaching our children instead is how to be long life learners. How to constantly be in the willingness and in the engaging of education in technologies and other facets of our lives. It's not a new concept. I guess when technology was developed and introduced into our everyday lives, our grandparents and our parents had to adapt. That long life learningship is something that is inherent in our society, but something we really need to endorse in the children and in the young people of today to ensure that they succeed as development of society and technology continues. When it comes down to it, that's the education we need to giving our students. The education to adapt, to learn new skills in whatever changes that happen in society and technology in the future. Because in the end, the ability to adapt is what will lead them to succeed in the coming world, when the jobs and the technology that they will be dealing with in their everyday lives may not even have been developed yet.